I think it will help also to say upfront, we are not from the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy. We are a multi-party team of members of the Portfolio Committee on Mineral Resources and Energy from the National Assembly. So we represent Parliament, not government, not the department. When the department makes proposals on amendment, we are compelled to make a determination either by the nature of what is being suggested as amendment to deal with the issue at a committee level in Parliament. But also by law, we are also allowed to look at the nature of the proposed amendment and then be able to identify in a limited, unfortunately, we can't be everywhere, we can try our level best. The law then, or the rules, then allows us to go and consult on the suggested amendment. In the suggested amendments, you can accept them, you can reject what is being suggested. You can even, in accepting, add what you think is lacking on the suggested amendment. You can, at the same time, once you accept the amendment, reject certain aspects of what is suggested as amendment. Equally, when you do the rejection, you can add what you think should be considered in the amendment. So the intention, therefore, is to deal with the suggestions as far as the amendment. The amendment relates to the Gas Act of 2001. Amongst other things that were a limitation was the issue that relates to the interpretation of sanction on failure to comply. So in the compliance, it did not prescribe what is it that has to be done in relation to the sanctions. Also, it ought to address the issue with regards to penalties if there is non-compliance. It also seeks to give power and authority to the department and the regulator to review the license of a licensee. It also seeks to address the issue of entries, or you can call it issues that relate to black economic empowerment. It seeks to address issues that relate to new technologies that have emerged within the sector. On how then do we relate to that, especially when it comes to enforcement. It's also sought on health and safety, but also the protection of communities and the environment. So that is why then we are here. There would be others. I may not count all of them, what are contained in those amendments. There will be others that I will think, including areas of exemption that can be considered by the regulator and the minister. So that is the summary of what is contained. But I hope you would have heard, if you did not get enough time to go through all those suggested amendments, please accept our apologies in advance. May not have been our intentions. We are trying our level best. We had started in Mpumalanga, both Nelspruit and Witbank. We are here now in Gauteng. From Gauteng, we'll be going to KZN. So without any further delays, I can't see the chairs, but we will deal with the hands. Anyone who would want to make comments. Maybe also let me say this in advance. You are allowed if you came as an entity or a company or whatever, but we don't limit, because sometimes you may come from the same formation or whatever it is, but you may hold different views. So for now, we're not necessarily taking collective views of organized structures. But if they want to do so, you are allowed to do so. But we'll concentrate more on individual submissions that people would want to do. So if for instance, like us, if we were coming here as one formation, like we say we are all members of one committee, if we were to be given an opportunity, we would speak as individuals, not necessarily as a collective team. So I think that clarifies. The last issue of the House rules is that at least we know the situation we are in. Let's just observe. I won't mention everything. Let's just try by all means to observe all the protocols in relation to the COVID-19 regulations. So we will take hands. I'm not saying you, I preferred to stand because I could see this only sometimes shows half of the face, especially if you are vertically challenged. It becomes a bigger problem. Okay. So are there any? Okay, we do have mics. We will take hands, and then you will try and come according to your numbers on whatever comment you want to make in relation to the amendment. Are there any hands? I know this thing. Someone is waiting for someone to raise a hand, then we'll follow and raise. Is there a hand? Okay, there is a hand there at the back. That's number one. Is there any other? That's number two. Is there any other hand? That's number three. This side. Just here. That's number three. Is there another hand? Okay, let's go to number one. There is a mic here. Don't be afraid to come up front. There is number one. Yes.
I'd like to thank you, program directors, and all the honorables in front of us. I would like to address quickly incident that just happened now. Besides the incident again, I would like to know what methods were used to disseminate the information to the public, because I only got information that there's a hearing here on the 11th hour, and I had to call around all the other members that I believe are also in the industry or in the space to come and be part of this hearing today. One of my friend was told outside that it's full in here. So I had to rush to quickly go and get him. Can we please rectify that? And if I may be allowed, as we go forward, there's other questions that I'd like to pose to the panel in front. Thank you very much, Honorables. Thanks. Or I think I've been told that I should continue.
In addition to what you were raising, if you
Yes.
can be allowed to
Yes.
raise the issues in relation to, you are allowed to do so.
Yes, I think that will come on later because I only got the
Okay.
bill on the 11th hour. As we continue with the program, I will be coming forth.
Okay.
Thank you.
Number 2.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Honorable members, thank you for the opportunity. My name is Brandon Abdenor. I'm from the Center for Environmental Rights and also representing the environmental justice movement groundwork. It is clear that this bill is intended to facilitate the widespread rollout of gas infrastructure. And over and above what is in the bill, we know what kind of political statements have been made around the rollout and expansion of gas. We also know that there are currently about 25 large gas infrastructure and gas to power projects totaling some 18,000 megawatts at some stage of proposal. So we know that the ambition for this gas is large. But the development of this gas infrastructure will also have high costs in terms of environment and socio-economic impacts. And we do have some concerns around this bill not adequately addressing its mandate to ensure that these are sustainable. Gas infrastructure, like all fossil fuel infrastructure, is large, complex, and has a significant footprint on the land and affects not only the site on which it is built, but also communities and surrounding areas. And there is a strong likelihood that lives and livelihoods will be disrupted, that ecosystem services will be disrupted, and that areas that have cultural, sacred, or heritage significance for people are potentially also going to be disrupted. Gas, it goes without saying, is flammable, so there is a significant risk in terms of safety. And then perhaps of most concern is that gas, being a fossil fuel, is extremely harmful to the climate. We have unequivocally entered an era where a proper response to the climate crisis is something that is an overriding imperative. And the recently concluded COP talks in Scotland are sending very powerful signals that we have to look at the way we do things through this lens of the climate crisis. We will be focusing on this climate aspect a bit more at the hearings on the 30th. But as always, it is poor, marginalized, and vulnerable people that stand to face the biggest impacts. They're at the front line. They do not have the adequate resources to protect their rights if something does go wrong. And we can just look at what's happening in Mpumalanga in the coal fields and in the South Durban Basin to get an idea of the impacts that fossil fuel infrastructure can have. Mr. Chair, honorable members, because of these risks, it's very important that the democratic process and mechanisms and involvement in the matters that are regulated by the bill are strong, inclusive, and robust. With that in mind for today, I'd like to focus on Clause 11 and 12 in particular, around public participation. In this regard, we note that the clause provides for the objection process for applications of licenses, and we submit that this period of 60 days is insufficient to allow for adequate public participation. Clause 11 in the bill provides for this objection process to be conducted in a manner provided for by the energy regulator. We submit that this clause is vague and should be extended to provide for the exact manner in which the objection process should be conducted. The bill fails to provide for a process of meaningful consultation in the same way, for example, that the amendments to the MPRDA regulations and the draft mine community resettlement guidelines appear to attempt to address. The bill does not properly advance the principles of administrative justice as set out, and it limits the instances of when consultation is prescribed to the applications for licenses by putting the time limit of 60 days on. There's no provision for consultation, notification, or public participation in relation to how the energy regulator would conduct this process. The National Energy Regulator Act does not provide for how this public participation process should be undertaken and doesn't have time frames. So in our experience, in a lot of cases, public participation is something that takes a long time, is complex, and the rights of interested and affected parties are violated by not being able to have the necessary consultation processes provided. So we recommend that the overall application and objection process be reviewed and included in the bill to ensure that the constitutional right to administrative justice is lawful, reasonable, and procedurally fair. We recommended that the principles of meaningful consultation be incorporated, including that meaningful consultation be defined, and include an obligation that the applicant has taken all measures reasonably possible and appropriate to the circumstances to engage all interested and affected parties. Applicants should have to take all reasonable measures possible to ensure that interested and affected parties understand the information provided and how it affects them specifically in order for them to make informed decisions. This should include translations of text into the language used predominantly in the area and the translation into plain language of scientific and otherwise technical language. The revisions we recommend should also ensure that applicants have an obligation to collaborate meaningfully with interested and affected parties. Honourable members, we speak from years of experience where public participation is treated as a box-ticking exercise. This means that the information is not properly ventilated, that the cost-benefit is not properly evaluated. This in turn gives rise to reviews, appeals, litigation, protest, political undermining, and conflict which sometimes turns deadly. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, honourable members.
Good morning, honorable members. Let me acknowledge the Apostle General Yanengwale, the founder of Conquerors Through Christ Ministries, and Mama Faith. I also acknowledge His Excellency Diplomat Martin Matlocha and Mama Lillian. I want to extend my, my appreciation for opening up this platform to the public and all the concerned members about the Gas Amendment Bill. My name is Mr. Mbonyo Nkondo, and I am the Chief Usher at Conquerors Through Christ Ministries. And I own a company called Soul Capital Investments, which owns large, vast gas deposits around the world. And I've come here because I really believe that gas is the solution to the energy crisis we have. However, the problem we're facing is that there's a lot of red tape with regards to how we can build new power stations and fuel them with gas. which is also a very healthy source of energy. And I would like this conversation to take the right direction, and that is, how can we incorporate gas into our power stations? You know, if you look at our branch in Washington, D.C., you'll see that it's a power station that has never failed. And we would like to duplicate those models that we have all around the world and bring them here to South Africa so we don't have an energy crisis. Thank you very much.
Every time. Oh, no, it's okay. No, thank you very much. We will take even other hands. We are here not to express a view. Only when we have gone all over these provinces where we are going, we will then also give those who had made written submissions an opportunity to talk to those written submissions. It's only then that this committee will then deliberate on the amendment that are suggested, taking into considerations the views that have been expressed in those areas where we are going. For now, we are just coming to listen to yourselves. So that's why we want to encourage you so that we don't live here without understanding some of the things. It's part of the learning experience for us also. So feel free. When we meet as a committee, it's possible in any way because we come from different political backgrounds, that we will differ. It will be resolved through the other procedures of parliament. So for now, it's for you. So feel free to express your views. I don't want the first speaker raised an issue. It's very difficult when something has happened. But it doesn't help also to try and seek explanations and justify. Let me just say, for those who really could not get the information, like the first speaker said, it will be difficult to know why that information has not filtered down. We take note of what we have said. And that's an issue we'll have to go back to those who were given the responsibility to spread the word, especially those who are from parliament. I can't talk about, because you will recall we have got 3 spheres of government. Parliament is sitting in Cape Town. We have to work with the provincial government. We have to work with local government. It is local government that is very close to the people. But we will do a follow-up. But let me just put it at rest by saying, please accept our apology if really you did not get. That's not the intention of this committee. But if you still now have been able to pick up 1, 2, and 3, you will still be allowed to raise your hand and come forth. Are there any other hands? Is that a hand? You know where we come from. There is one problem, ne? When there is a period of electing people, when your name is supposed to be elected and you expect the hands to go up, they just go like this. So feel free. Is there any other hand? Okay. Awesome. You can come.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, honorable members. Good morning, participants, members of the industry. My name is El Marias. I'm from a company out in Johannesburg called Green Ovation Energy Services. We're a company that works with mitigation of carbon footprint in the industry. Firstly, I'd like to talk to clause number 8. And it says, clause number 8 seeks to amend the heading of section 16 and also provide for compliance with the promotion of access to information of Act 2000, Act number 2 of 2000, regarding confidential treatment of certain information supplied by an applicant for licensing, and provide for the applicant to apply for a consolidated license if he or she intends to undertake more than one activity for a similar development. Now, the issue that I want to raise is with the consolidated license, with regards to the consolidated license. Yes, there are different licenses throughout the procurement phase within the gas industry. But I think the further we go down, when we start to look at the consolidated phase, it cuts out when an applicant applies for a consolidated license, that means he wants to do everything in the value chain. That's how I understand it. So when we look at the value chain and someone applies for a consolidated license, it means they're starting to cut out other license holders in the industry. And also it speaks to the anti-competitive nature. So already the Competition Act needs to be reviewed when we look at clause number 8 and consolidating of licenses, because it's definitely going to be marginalizing individuals that have licenses that can add value in the value chain of supply moving further down with regards to the consolidation of licenses. It also contradicts job creation, that we want to create jobs, but yet we're pushing out certain license holders with control. So we just ask that that be carefully reviewed. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, honorable members.
Okay. Is there any other hand? Okay. There is a hand there. Is there any other one? Oh, there is a number 2. Any other? Okay. You can come, Dumko. Then you follow. You follow.
Good morning, everybody in this house. My name is Dan Matlanyani. I'm a street vendor here outside Chukana Church and Van der Walt. As I listen to every speaker in their succession, I've realized that maybe in this house, the participation is only prescribed for those who are going to talk of this guest. I don't know everybody if we come with our different perception or challenges outside, because if they said this is a public participation, they invited us, then Matlanyan, I think maybe I can come with my challenges outside. I can look at people in the house. Some of them, they are very inferior to come here, but I come here with my challenges as a street vendor outside. I don't know whether I'm allowed in this platform. It's my question whether I'm allowed, then I can continue. Am I allowed to come with my challenges as a street vendor? Or you are just confined to only these cases?
No, let me help.
Yes.
We are doing the amendments on the bill. Kodwa, Zongole, it's difficult to tell a person don't say anything. You see? But for us, the focus is on the amendment to the bill. The reason I'm saying this is that we don't want, when we live here, then an impression is created that what was said was what was supposed to be carried. We may decide as and when we meet how to deal with that issue, but we must always be relevant to the topic, let me put it like that. But there is no way a committee of parliament can tell you you can't say anything. No, we can't say that. So I leave it to you to decide, not us. Because now we will be censoring you. So it's up to you. If you like, you can then stand up and say, as a street vendor, this is what I'm giving you as a package. Maybe in future references, when you deal with those things, you must remember this. But for now, we are coming for this. It doesn't mean we may not encounter some of the things you want to say in the future. So I'm leaving it up to you.
I want to continue with my challenges.
I'm leaving it up to you.
We traders outside here, we are facing a very enormous problem, my dear. Since 2016, we haven't got any public hearing where maybe straight talk with the government and tell them what we are supposed to operate our business. No public participation, no bylaws, anything, no amendments with our bylaws outside here. But the people of the government, less like ministers, when they are supposed to enforce, they just enforce with no bylaws. I don't know how they're operating. Here, what is my challenge here is that, you know, this street vendors is a very important economic organ. Even if you can see during the lockdown, it was with good merits because people who were allowed to sell, they continue to sell, and then they make a little bit of money. But the government seems to be disregarding this section or this sector. Then I'm pleading with the parliament here to look at this. Maybe they can come down from today and talk to us in TSHWANE so that we can have a very amicable resolution in that case. Because sometimes we find our city of TSHWANE working with parallel structures. Then in that case, there's no accountability, and you can even see the city is very dark. There's no security in the city. Then there's no investment in the city. The investment is going out. During the night, you can't go out there in the dark because you can be mugged or robbed. Thank you.
Yeah, but now, thank you. No, I'm not going to respond. Sorry. Can you, when we finish, can you go to that man in front of the light? Just ask for his email address and everything. He's from small business. You are lucky that one of the people who were borrowed by Parliament is from right to that committee of small business. Tell them your problems. I'm not saying your problems are solved, but you just write to take his details, and then he's gonna direct you. You write to that committee of small business. I'm pinning fast. Where are these people who are using this? I thought we have someone who's working on health and safety. Okay.
Also not organizing that. Okay, thank you, Honorable Member, the Chairperson of the House, and everyone who came through. My name is Mpati Rampeli. I am the elect councillor of Ward 60. I think one of the other things that you need to bear in mind is that we are representing the society. And most important is that our constituency are sitting at home, hence some of the decision that needs to be based, they will have to be taken back to them. The importance of the matters is that in terms of the gas, there is no safety measurement that were put in place for most of our communities, especially those who lives in the shack areas. And we feel like that it has to be looked into. Most people, especially living in the RDPs. And then how do we ensure that we put safety measurements around them? There is a lot of red tape that are not being looked into, of which we feel like that you need to do your homework, go check and review all the systems that we're using. And one other thing is that we more than happy to be involved in making sure that the gas energy becomes one of the powerful power stations, that it will resolve the crisis of electricity that we are currently facing in South Africa. But nevertheless, is that before doing that, we need to ensure that all systems follow correctly. We need to ensure that we take whatever that we have back to our community, let them be involved in a proper manner. Thank you.
Okay, is there any other hand so that we don't close some people? Okay, there's a hand there. Any other hand? Okay, number 2. Okay, you can come, Hulu.
Thank you very much. Namukelekile Khaya. And thanks for this public consultation meeting on the bill. My name is Conrad Ngobeni. I'm the ward councillor elect here in Ward 58, right here where you are. So I'm the host from Speaker's office. Sorry for arriving late. I was still dealing with electricity issues in one of the areas. Now, having look on the amendment, let me go straight to page 12. Page 12 is section 14. It's A and it's B and A, where it speaks of previous disadvantaged people. And in boldness there you also indicated the issue of broad-based economic empowerment. It's unfortunately that last week I read one of the cases which was delivered by the Supreme Court of Appeal. And I have seen something on the application. My fellow councillor spoke of red tape on application. You know, it is very much problematic that our own government want to utilize mixed energy solutions where there will be use of solar, biomass, gas, and so forth. But I can see here the focus is on gas. Now, as I was saying that today I was dealing with one of the challenges on electricity. We necessarily have no objection on the amendment of the bill. But however, I would like to urge Parliament to make it a point that this matter is dealt with urgently. I mean, if you look for the past 2 weeks, it's always communication on stage what, stage what, stage what. We are tired of those things. We speak on behalf of South Africans. We speak on behalf of our own constituencies as what councillors. To say, when it comes to the issue of gas license applications, let us not prioritize the big three. When I say the big three, I'm referring to your Chevron, your BP, because that is where there's red tape. That is where there's red tape. And we need to also make it a point that we empower local wholesalers so that the supply thereof is open for everyone. The economic opportunity which is being placed on one of the objectives of the bill should be realized. It must not be for those big three. Because immediately it's for those big three, we are going to have problem. It means the intention of the legislature will not have been achieved. That is another problem which we are having. In 2012, I applied for a wholesale license as a citizen. And I can tell you, operating in that space is not easy. Operating in the petroleum industry is never a child's play. But I do have hope that at least on the issue of licensing, maybe that is where you will be in a position to make it a point that you grant these licenses, and then transformational agenda will be realized. We won't have these things of lights are off, is load shedding as you are cooking. And then as you are cooking, and then you have to call a local ward councillor. Electricity is gone. And a local ward councillor on a load shedding, that person cannot do anything. One of the speakers here, who is a street vendor, indicated something very much important. If you move in town here, it's dark at night. It's dark. There's no lights, there's nothing. Please come up with a way of, innovative ideas of using solars as well, so that we don't burden ESCOM with these big debts from the municipality. Now, as I conclude, I also want to come to page 13, where you deal with non-discrimination. You wrote it in boldness there. And you even indicate in brackets that classes of customers. You know, if you look at gas, for an example, it's very much efficient, very much cheap. If you have got 8 rand, just 8 rand, just to give a classical example, 8 rands, you will not buy 30 units. You will only get 20 something. So electricity is very much expensive. And if you look at the cost of living today, the cost of living is high. Please, Parliament, speed fast this process of mixed energy efficiency so that our people can realize the liberation which we have been fighting for all along. Let us not go and discriminate and then we prioritize those big 3 which I have already mentioned. The big 3, your BP, your Chevron, your Total. They've monopolized that industry in such a way that if you are a wholesaler, you want to supply local, I'm telling you, you won't make it. It's only few who can make it. And in garages, because gases now, you only find it in these stations. It's very much problematic because if they sell it with 150, just 5 kg, 150, that is very much expensive. The other day I was that side of, what is this side of Madibe? I saw 30 kg there. You know it was how much? It was 1,300 and something. Please also regulate the price. Regulate it properly so that all citizens can be in a position to have access to it. We know it's not our commodity. It's a commodity which is being imported. But please, assist us. Ke a leboha.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you very much for the opportunity. My name is Matlakala Mashishi, the regional chairperson of SANCO in TSHWANE. Mine is to raise the following concern. One, the short notice as stakeholders that we got. I cannot comment on the document itself on the basis that I never be able to read it. And it will be useless for me to comment on that. Because I'm representing the entire TSHWANE as a SANCO. I will be misrepresent community. Because such activities, they need time we engage, and when you come here as a stakeholder, you are presenting the view of the people, not your view. That's point number 1. 2, I'm worried at the entrance gate there because I wait almost half an hour to get an access. And other people are being turned back to say the chamber is full. I don't know whether this a sabotage of the official security or what is happening. I even interact with the chief of security, Ndate Dlamini, to assist us to access the facilities. So that needs to be corrected because a lot of people have been chased away to say the chamber is full. I'm very much disappointed as a citizen. In particular, to deny our community such important event
to participate so that the parliament can get the mandate of the people to say, what are the people saying? If one will suggest, will request that maybe this session be reconvened properly, so we go back and engage on the document, come up with a clear understanding on what is written on the bill, so that the arrangement can make proper, so we don't deny people space to echo their sentiment. The other thing that I want to present here, because ka Sepedi ba re setlhare sa kgole o se epa mohlang wa lesolo. There is an issue of cooperatives whereby I said, as a leader, I must just give to Parliament. When I'm on my way coming here, accidentally I get a call from one of the cooperative members to say, hey, when I'm on the chair, look, we've got challenges co-ops, man. We cannot access facilities with the bank because government is giving us orders. We are going to the bank to get funding. Co-ops, they are not regarded as legal entities than you are PTY Limited and CC. So we are urging to you to look into the issue cooperatives, to say when the co-ops, because this is the initiative from government. If cooperatives, they are doing well, they've got this, they want to access funding, why the bank cannot recognize the co-ops as entities? Why are you creating this cooperative? Because the cooperative was created on the basis that it's not a one-man show, as my councillor was indicating now. Because when you empower cooperatives, you empower a lot of people. There are more than 10 women, men, young people in the co-ops. So advise us, Parliament, if we need to make a petition to send to you, to Parliament, advise us to do that you legislate the cooperative like any other business. Because from where I'm sitting, I know cooperatives, there is this, you are OTK, it's a cooperatives. White people, they've survived via cooperatives. There are a lot of big business that they are co-ops. So that's the information and the message that we want to send to you, to say, please look into this, because currently our people, small business, are suffering. Small business are getting it very difficult. The legislation with the traditional banks, they are not assisting small business. The last portion that I want to deliver is this, that the issue of relief, COVID relief funding is not coming to the black business. It's a challenge. Because we don't have access to you, Parliament, to talk to you to raise these things. You see the president talking about the billions of this, small business, COVID relief fund and all that stuff. Others, they are partnering with the bank. When you go to the traditional bank, they still come with the same traditional operation to say you are owing Edgar's 20 rand. Therefore, they cannot fund you. Please assist us. Assist small business as much as you can. Come to the people. Let's give you our challenges, because the politicians that are amongst our midst, they are not assisting us at all. It's just a disgrace. It's a crisis. People are on poverty. People are starving. There's nothing is happening. So as a leader of the society, I'm appealing to you to this, to say, my apology maybe to deviate from what I'm here for, but as I said, because I'm not sure when I'm going to see Parliament again, let me make this submission so that if there's any way that we can deal with the matter, advise us, tell us what to do, so that our problems, challenges within the community can be adhered to. I thank you.
may I just explain what it means? Hlare sa kgole se epiwa mohla solo. It means this bill itself is hlare. You come from parliament to meet the people. The people come to meet you in order to discuss about this issue. People come from different areas because they want to understand and know what is going on about the bill. They came to you like you came to them to discuss this issue. It means there is an issue that needs to be discussed, but everybody is welcomed.
Dumelang baheso. Ke leba sebaka se le re fileng sona se sa hore re tle re tlontsha maikutlo le di contribution tse.
Thank you very much for giving us this opportunity.
One of the things that I've seen the bill that I received for the invitation, the objectives of the bill. I've just summarized few of them so that I can elaborate on or make a contribution about some of them. One of them is to facilitate the gas infrastructure, development and investments, and to provide for cooperation between the private and the public sector to enhance the national regulator framework and to promote black economic empowerment. I've been in the oil and gas industry for the past 6 years. I don't think there is any, I've made tenders for any tender, any location, but we have never succeeded in getting one of the tenders. So one of the things that we have decided as a company, my name is Tsepo Mumakwe. So one of the things that I've just realized about the opportunity in the gas industry is that it is not yet open. And the parliament needs to go and review the openness and make sure that there is a participation of everyone in the oil and gas industry. To facilitate gas infrastructure and development investments, it means that we need to have land so that we can develop the infrastructure. We need to have an investment, and those are the real causes. I have a very, very, very bad example of what I've achieved. Actually, for the past 3 years, we were engaging in developing the storage tanks in Mossel Bay. And then we signed a lease agreement of around 50 years. Unfortunately, we are classified as a black economic, in a black economic sectors. But it was unfortunate that last week we just received a letter to say that we're taking back our land. And then we have spent almost 6 years wanting to develop, I have a plan of what we wanted to do. And one of the things that we wanted to do, it was a gas infrastructure. So sometimes it's confusing to clarify what is a black economic empowerment, what is an infrastructure, what are we getting, where is the land, what is it that so the parliaments need to, when they draft the bill, they need to clarify to us what is empowerment, what is inclusive, how is the community going to be included in this infrastructure, in this bill. So the other thing is to promote cooperation between the private sector and the public sector. There is one of the things is that I visited previously I visited Petros A, SFF, all those things. I have the NDA with them. But you show them the plans, you show them that what you are going to do. Immediately when you go out of the office, when you try to communicate with them, they don't even answer your calls anymore. I don't think that in terms of what we're experiencing now, it's something, it's a man-made problems. And it's a problems whereby I think people are not being held to accountable for whatever that must be happening. And then, Chair, one of the things that I want to advise you, people, you can call those FFFs, those state-owned companies, not all companies, you can call them to say, come, be accountable. They will write proper things. They will write things as if things are normal. But I will want to advise you, you know, Chair, sometimes you have to get a real issues of what is happening so that we can prevent the situation that we are in now. And then one of the things that I will advise you is that, you know, work with a statistician so that he can tell you the truth of what is happening, whether things are going right or whether things are not going wrong, or, you know, you will have an independent opinion about an organization. But you cannot call someone from PetroSA or SFF or Gas Oil to write what do you want, because he's also going to write what do you want to hear from him. He will never tell you whatever that is happening. But if you have an independent auditor, you have a statistician who can tell you whether there is a cooperation between, whether these private companies are engaging the communities, whether there is a partnership between these private sectors, whether there is a cooperation, whether they have accepted the new entrants in the oil and gas. That is the statistician that can tell you, not those people. Those people, they will never tell you. So the other one is to enhance the national regulator framework. I think, Chair, we have to make flexible for the regulator so that the new entrants must have the licenses for gas. There is an opportunity, a big opportunity for gas in the world. That is the way to go. That is how we must do business now. Encourage black companies to come. And one of the things that, you know, when I look at the things that makes me sad is that, you know, these companies, South Africa is we are very fortunate in South Africa. We are industrialized, we can take advantage of the economy of the Africa. But you know, when you look at the state-owned companies like PetroSA and SFF and all those companies, it's very sad because, you know, there is no brand name for that. I mean, in essence, today we were supposed to have a storage tank in Lesotho for PetroSA. Today we were supposed to have a storage tank, petroleum storage tanks in Zimbabwe, in Kenya. PetroSA was supposed to be engaged in development of pipelines in the whole of Africa. And as the Black Economic Empowerment guys, we were supposed to be helped with the financial so that we can go and assist our African brothers. But this is not that way. Actually, it's the other way around. So it's very sad that we are not taking opportunity in developing the oil and gas industry in Africa. And we rely wholeheartedly from the multiracial companies that are going to dictate us how are we going to do business, whether they will want to sign with us, whether they will want us. And for the project that I was doing in Mossel Bay, you know, I don't have even a cent in my pocket. I've just said, no, you know what, I don't want to work. Let me concentrate on whatever that I'll do. I was doing 1.7 billion a project in Mossel Bay. We lost the land because the council said, no, you know what, we cannot pay, which was, the government was supposed to protecting me to say, you know what, we classify this company as a black, there is no way that you can take a land from him. We lost the investments. And then the sad part of it is that, you know, they cancel the lease land while I'm still busy talking with Total. I have an NDA with Total that I've said. So those are the things that the parliament must come inside to say, you know what, we want to promote the black companies. We want the participation of these companies to come and have a trademark in Africa, because my intention was not in Mossel Bay, was to have a company that will represent South Africa in other African countries. I've just, last week after they've canceled my list, I went to Zimbabwe. I said, I contacted my friend to Zimbabwe. I said, you know what, can I come with the plans that I was having in South Africa? In essence, I was not supposed to go there. I was supposed to be held by the government. I was supposed to be held by the parliament to say, you know what, there is a vision. Here is someone who wants to create 4,500 employees in terms of employment, who want to improve the lives of the other people. But it's not like that. I'm running away to Zimbabwe so that we can have a gas in infrastructure. Chair, we need to change our mindset. You know, sometimes when people come up with the papers and all those things, they have to be accountable of whatever that they've done. we cannot read whatever that they have done and then be satisfied in whatever that they've done. We have to attest, to make sure, to scrutinize what are the presentation are they bringing to you, whether they are real presentation or whether they're just writing the presentation because they want to see you reading you, or whether, and if people are not working, Chair, recommend. You are representative of the parliament. Recommend to say, no, let us put this person aside. Whether political affiliation, where they come from, where is for the betterment of the future of South Africans. Thanks very much.
Good morning, honorable members. My name is Kale Stein. I'm represented by Faith Energy, a member of Ubuntu RPG Association. I'm a third generation member in the gas industry. My grandfather started our business back in the late 90s, so we're going on close on to 3 decades. Mid-90s, 3 decades of being within the industry. I think a lot of us have spoken on this in terms of this bill being communicated effectively to us. The rightful thing to do is to give people like us time. The average person in business may not understand this context in its wholeness. So when this is communicated to us, we should have time to sit down with our legal advisors to understand what this bill means and says to the full extent, and not just take a couple of clauses that make sense to us or that we can object to. That's number one. Number two, because that being said, I don't know the full extent of what the bill is saying because we haven't had enough time to actually consume the information effectively. But what I can speak on, and a lot of the other guys have spoken on this as well, is that the gas industry is an industry that is monopolized by majors. Small guys like us, like I say, the reason why I said that I'm third generation, we have been doing this for a long time, are bullied, and small internal laws by these companies are created to keep guys like us out. It's not competitive for our industry to move forward. As we said, like there is members right now that are waiting outside that are not allowed in. This bill is not being communicated effectively. What I am saying is that this bill is for South African people in South Africa, which means it needs to serve the South African people on a small scale instead of a large scale in terms of big international companies. So as we move forward and take things into consideration, whether it's licensing or penalties or fines, we need to first understand and fully engage in how are we going to build our people and make an energy source available for the people. Because this thing which is currently happening within the gas industry is that it's going one way so that a small group of people, and most of the time not even the locals, can benefit of an industry like this. So as we move forward, hopefully we will have another opportunity to communicate effectively in terms of what is actually being said in the bill, and also to take into consideration that this is something, I want to reiterate on that, this is something for the people of South Africa. This must not be something that major corporates, when it comes time to licensing and legal requirements, that major corporates can benefit that because they can meet those requirements, while others that are trying to can't. And that's a big issue right now within the industry. Thank you.
bengathanda ukubonga futhi for the opportunities that I'm given again. Just to iterate to what Kyle has just said, my name is Brightman. I'm also a member of Ubuntu Gas Association. What necessitated the association is the exclusion of the African people, the community members, and the people who are in the energy space. So, like it was said previously, the industry has been monopolized. And it becomes very difficult for individuals and small companies to enter the space. Just looking at briefly the documentation, I wanted to understand the new transportation technologies that is referred to in the bill, what it is, what these technologies are, and coming also to the penalties that are involved in it. Because keeping in mind that our African brothers and sisters, it's not all of us who have all these licenses to actually trade successfully. And I would suggest that if it was possible to the panel, is that there should be some form of an incubation program whereby all these guys, myself included, who are back in terms of all these licensing could actually be split up in order to be to trade in a fair platform with the majors. There was a communication that took place, I think in 2017, Competitions Commission, where it was stated that most of the product which is produced by the refineries, actually 10% of that is actually dedicated to small SMMEs. We tend to find problems in winter when we have to then go and purchase gas at the refineries. You'll find that we're being told that there's no gas, but it's actually secured for the majors, which is the top 5. So we need to be fair that the black child and the youth and the community as a whole is actually excluded from trading fairly and become part of the energy economy as a whole, because the industry is monopolized, in short. So I would appeal to the portfolio committee to give direction, to engage, to not prevent part of our members and people from entering again, because it's mushrooming again and again, that people are being closed, told that, okay, right, the meeting has already consumed and commenced, they cannot actually enter. So above, over and above, I also would like to know that how we then actually looking at the previously disadvantaged, because now most of the guys that I know are not here today. They are people who are trading in small containers selling gas and at a much bigger and cheaper price than the majors. But what we tend to find that we are being bullied by the majors from trading. And there was a couple of incidents that took place whereby we saw these majors confiscating cylinders and making sure that we're not trading fairly. So we would appeal to the government again, or parliament or portfolio committee, to come with some form of a plan where we could say that we have maybe universal cylinders, because this draws back to the cylinder issue. So there's a number of issues in this bill as a whole, and the problems that we have faced in our communities. Thank you very much.
Good morning, honorable members. Good morning, my colleagues. My name is Mitchell. I'm also part of the group Ubuntu LPG Association. I've got a number of issues that I would like to present to you, honorable members. The first one, I think you've seen already quite a number of speakers here complaining about notice. We knew about this thing late last night. And my first time to have a feel of the proposed bill is when I entered Parliament, which I don't think is a mistake, personally. Point number two, just 5 minutes ago when I was preparing to come on stage, I've got a colleague outside. He has been told that the chamber is full. I can phone right now and put him on speaker. He's standing outside. But is this full? To be honest with you, this is embarrassing. But you are not surprised. I can tell you now, this is a well-calculated move by the big, I don't want to call them big five, the big four. Afrox, Oryx, Total, and EasyGuess. It didn't come easy. With, like my colleague Kyle has said, he's the third generation in this industry. And I've also traveled the same route with him. We have been bullied left, right, and center. And I think we've got to a stage now where we have been cornered. We are a cornered lion. We have got no other choice other than to fight back. And at this stage, I request you as honorable members to assist the black child, to assist the person on the corner of the street. If this bill is to be pushed through, which is the reason why people are being turned outside, the big four, they want it to be pushed through. I haven't read the bill, but from what is happening here, and from the first 2 pages that I've read, I can tell you it's a well-calculated move by the big four to put away the black child. If the community is not allowed to be in Parliament to debate this bill, where are we supposed to fight the bill? Do you want us to fight in the streets? Do you want us to fight the Oryx truck when it comes to deliver? Where are we supposed to eat? Where are we supposed to work? You are taking a child, a hard-working child, who has been waking up every morning to go and work. You have taken the bread from his mouth. Do you want him to go into crime? Do you want him to go and start hijacking people? Because I'm telling you, if this bill is bulldozed in Parliament as it is, we are going to have more criminals than hard workers. That's my first point. My second point, it's not about compliance. Me and my colleagues, we've worked hard to make sure all the players, the black players, are totally compliant. We work with the Department of Labor. We work with the municipalities. We work with the fire department. We work with all role players, but still we are being sidelined. From all these years, now we see the big four are coming up with 2 horns. The first one is bullying. Now they want to come with legislation. Now they want to come with NESA, National Energy Regulator of South Africa. Now they want to fine a black child who doesn't even have a shoe, 2 million rand a day. Where do you get 2 million rand a day? If this bill is bulldozed as it is, I can tell you now, the employment rate will jump from 75 to 90%. And that's not a child's play. The bill as it is, I can tell you now, it's a footprint of monopolistic tendencies from these big four. We are aware of the bullying tendencies, but if we cannot be allowed to come and present here in Parliament, then we will present it within our communities. I can tell you now, don't underestimate the employment which has been brought through by these so-called illegal gas dealers. It's so huge. And taking those people back to unemployment is definitely going to increase the crime rates and crime statistics. As we go forward, we haven't had an opportunity to read the bill. We'll still have to go back and speak with our advocates and attorneys and our advisors, and we'll plan the way forward. But I pray on behalf of my colleagues, please give us an opportunity to debate this bill and to show you how ugly this bill is. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your inputs. We will check, Colonel Imane Ivela, we'll check it. That there were people who were told that the venue is full. We will check what happened, what type of a message, and probably the intention of doing so. The second one, before Nkoshle, just before I forget, you are allowed to petition Parliament. You can write to the Speaker of Parliament. The Speaker of Parliament receiving what you have written, I'm sure you can ask the committee staff, they will come and help you. You write, it is the Speaker who will decide which committee of Parliament must attend your concern. Because we've got different committees in Parliament. That's why I said, but I think you were not here then, I said we can't say to someone, don't say anything except what we are here for. Because when you say something, this opportunity of being here may help us to reference you to the correct area that it's supposed to attend to the concern. It may not be us, or it may not be this. It may not be for this exercise of today, but we'll meet tomorrow. You said what's your name? What's your name? Yes. Tsepo. Okay. Me and you will meet now so that you don't go to Zimbabwe. I'll bring your Zimbabwe next to you now. Me and you, when we finish here, you will go to Zimbabwe having gone to here. Look, good people, let's just explain a simple thing. We will not know what's happening in the departments in terms of operations. There is a difference between a department, I explained that thing. There is a difference between a department and Parliament. And by the way, Parliament is not us only. We are the National Assembly of Parliament. There is the National Council of Provinces, which together, when they come together, they constitute Parliament. So at times your grievances, when you take them to the department, will not even know there's a grievance. So it's important, like I said there was someone, I said, yes, I said, here is small business committee secretary, must meet. There's nothing wrong that stops you when you are frustrated. Even if we may not, you see, there's this thing you like, it's called separation of powers. Even if we may not come in the department and say, take this one out, but we can make them account to address, for failure to address your frustrations. So I will say to you, even now, feel free to write also to the Committee of Parliament on Mineral Resources and Energy when you meet those frustrations. We may not have come for the bill now, for those things that you are raising. You are allowed. So feel free. I will make you, where's Ian? Okay. He's gonna give you, you see this man with that one. before you meet me, go to him. He's gonna give you the contacts for the committee. Put it in writing, because some of those things may not necessarily be related to the bill. The last thing I want to say, when you sit here, you listen. You are empowering us. You are empowering us that when there are certain things myself I'm picking up, don't take for granted that by virtue of a position of privilege, of being a member of parliament, it is equivalent to knowledge. It's not. If you think you've got supremacy of thinking just by virtue of a position of appointment, then there's something wrong with you, even if you are an expert in that field. So being here, you are even, it may not sound like a good word, you are even educating us. Some of the things you might be taking for granted, we are bringing them to bear so that we can be much sharper than yesterday. So I don't take some of the things as criticism, because there are suggestions that are being made. And I'm sure these members, when we meet now, finally making this determination, they will take those things into consideration. The things that you raised here. The last thing I want to say, when this bill is done, please don't ask me, because you are going to pit me against these members. Well, the next question they will ask me, the answer you gave, where did you get it? Because we never discussed this thing as a committee. So I can't give answers. We are here for these members to take what you say, we discuss, we resolve, we recommend, and then if it passes in parliament, that's why I said what different political parties here. All of us, there's not one party that came, unlike a department you appoint one person, that person gets in charge. Here we work on ideas. So we will take those ideas and bring them to the attention. There could be people, yes, they're sitting quiet, there could be people who agree with you. So when we come and consult, it doesn't mean we agree with what is suggested as amendments. It doesn't mean we agree. So I don't want to live here with the impression that the committee can defend the amendment. It's suggested amendment. The committee can only defend when it has finalized and expressed its own views on the proposed amendment. For now, the process of parliament says go and listen first, take the views, come back. There is a process I wouldn't know, I will have to check technically, which also was publicized, where we received the submissions. I will have to check, because that process, those who had made written submissions long, I don't know when was it. There is a process that they will be allowed to now also make oral submissions as an organized formation. So I will check, Sanko, for an example, whether there were submissions made, oral submissions made. It may happen, because we must also be fair, in some structures they are too big. You may not even understand that your structure has made written submissions. But if they are allowed now to come and address the committee on their written submissions that they've made. The last take, let me pick up, where are my councillors? Councillor-elect. Oh, there is the one. The last, I like to, when councillors come, please, once you may go long, if this bill passed or not, this amendment passed or not, they will have to go to the National Council of Provinces. In the National Council of Provinces, SALGA is a member. SALGA is a member. But also most of your MPLs are coming from your provinces. Let's not lose that opportunity. So when you go, we must also look at the NCOP. Most definitely, the NCOP is the one in any way by main in the two houses of parliament represent provinces and municipalities. So don't say next time when they come and say, no, we had this thing before. No, it will be because it's a different house of parliament. They are making their own determination to say, this is what we've received, even if with all the amendments have been raised. But I think for me, beside those technical challenges, I'm sure there is a lot that we have empowered these members. In as much as they may carry their own party mandates, but if they act independently as members of parliament, we will have to take into consideration. It doesn't mean, for instance, when you are here, there will always be contradictory views. That's why we should not express a view. You are for, or the other one will say I'm against. It's fine, it's allowed. We will take all those things, including the reasons based on that. On that note, thank you very much. Like I said, we apologize profusely for the technical challenges, even, I must say, potential miscommunication. Someone said is the Big Four. The Big Four is allowed. They must come and speak to us. What they can do, we can't, when we are different parties, be influenced by any other person. But we will have to follow this miscommunication. Where did it come from and what informed it? And then take it from there. On that note, thank you very much. Let's call it, I don't want to say let's call it a day when you might still be going somewhere else. But we know it's a Saturday. Unfortunately, as you see these members, most of them, they come from Cape Town. They have not been home. When we finish on Monday, they are going back to Cape Town. When they finish in Cape Town on Thursday, Friday, they are going to KZN. They will only see their families after 3 weeks. Unfortunately, we took a responsibility to serve. That's what are the consequences. Thank you very much. Have a safe journey.